you're fasting, you're skipping meals, you're doing everything people say should work, and yet your body is not burning fat. Not the way you expected, not consistently, not reliably. And the most frustrating part is that no one ever explains why this happens. Because inside your body, there is a system quietly making a decision without your permission, a decision that determines whether fat stays locked or finally gets released. And here's the uncomfortable truth. As long as this system stays active, your body will protect fat at all costs, even during fasting. Most people think fat loss starts when they stop eating, but that is not how the body works. Your metabolism does not respond to motivation. It does not respond to discipline. It responds to signals. And the strongest signal your body listens to is not time without food. It is a hormone. That hormone is insulin. Insulin is not evil. It is not a problem by itself. In fact, insulin is essential for survival. It helps move nutrients into your cells. It keeps blood sugar stable. It protects your brain. But insulin also has another role that almost no one talks about. When insulin is elevated, fat burning is blocked completely. This means something critical. You can be fasting, you can be skipping meals, you can even feel hungry, but if insulin remains elevated, your body will not access stored fat. Fat stays locked, and this is where most people get stuck without realizing it. Right after you eat, insulin rises. That is normal. Your body expects food, it expects energy. And when insulin is high, your body chooses the easiest fuel available, which is glucose. Sugar is always burned first. Fat is stored for later. This is not a flaw. This is design. Now here is where the misunderstanding begins. Many people assume that once they stop eating, insulin immediately drops and fat burning begins. But insulin does not fall instantly. It fades slowly. And for some people, it fades much more slowly than they realize. If you eat frequently, if your meals are high in carbohydrates, if you snack late at night, if your sleep is poor, if your stress is high, if your metabolism is insulin resistant, all of these factors keep insulin elevated longer than normal. And while insulin stays elevated, fat remains inaccessible. This is why two people can fast for the same amount of time and experience completely different results. One enters fat burning early, the other feels stuck. The difference is not willpower, the difference is insulin behavior. At first, during the early hours of fasting, your body is not even thinking about fat. It is still using glucose from your last meal. Insulin is slowly declining, but not low enough to unlock fat. Your metabolism is calm. Nothing dramatic is happening yet. This is why the first hours of fasting feel ordinary. Your body does not feel threatened. It does not feel the need to adapt. As time passes, your liver begins releasing stored glucose to keep blood sugar stable. This is glycogen. And as long as glycogen is available, your body prefers to use it. Fat is still protected, still locked away, still untouched. This phase can last longer than most people expect, and this is where frustration builds. People believe they are fasting, but metabolically, their body is still operating in glucose mode. Eventually, glycogen begins to drop. This is when the body considers another option, fat. But here is the critical point most people miss. The body does not switch fuels just because time passed. It switches when insulin drops low enough to allow fat release. If insulin is still elevated, the switch is delayed. This delay can be subtle. You may not feel it, you may not notice anything different, but internally, your metabolism is waiting for permission. And this is why some people feel tired, foggy, or frustrated during fasting. Their body is caught between fuels. Glucose is running low, fat is still locked. Energy feels unstable. This is not because fasting is bad, it is because the transition has not been completed yet. Now here is something that might surprise you. Many people never complete this transition. They break the fast too early. They add small calories without realizing it. They drink sweetened beverages. They eat late. They snack. And every time insulin rises again, the fat-burning timeline resets. This creates a loop. Fasting feels hard, fat loss feels slow, motivation drops, and the person assumes fasting doesn't work for them. But the truth is more precise. Fasting works only when insulin allows it to work. And insulin does not respond to time alone. It responds to patterns. Your body learns from repetition. If insulin is frequently elevated, your metabolism becomes resistant to its signal. This means insulin stays higher for longer periods. And when insulin resistance develops, fat burning becomes harder to access, even during fasting. This is why insulin resistance is one of the biggest hidden blockers of fat loss. It silently extends the timeline. It delays the switch. It keeps fat protected. But here is the key insight. Insulin resistance does not mean your body is broken. It means your body has adapted to a certain pattern, and patterns can change. To understand how fat burning truly begins, you need to understand when insulin finally drops low enough for the body to make a different decision. That decision does not happen at the same hour for everyone. For some, it happens sooner. For others, much later. And this brings us to the most important question of all. When does insulin finally release its grip on fat? What actually happens inside your body at that moment? And why does fat burning suddenly become easier instead of harder? In the next part, we will walk step by step through the exact internal timeline. You will see what happens when insulin falls, how your body switches fuels, and why fat burning suddenly stabilizes instead of feeling like a constant struggle. Because once you understand this moment, fasting stops feeling like a battle and starts feeling like alignment. At some point during fasting, something finally changes. Not on the surface, but deep inside your metabolism. This is the moment your body stops waiting. The moment insulin falls low enough for a different decision to be made. And when that happens, fat is no longer protected. It becomes available. This is the true turning point. When insulin drops below a certain threshold, your fat cells receive a signal they have been blocking for hours. That signal tells them to release stored energy. Fatty acids begin leaving the fat tissue and entering the bloodstream. Your body now has access to a large, stable fuel source. And this is when fasting starts to feel different. Energy becomes steadier. Hunger often quiets down. Mental clarity improves. This is not psychological. This is metabolic. Your body has finally switched fuels. But here is the key detail most people never hear. This switch is not instant. It is gradual, and it stabilizes only after your body fully commits to fat as the primary fuel. Before this point, your metabolism hesitates. After this point, it settles. This is why the hours between 16 and 24 hours of fasting are so different from the earlier stages. Your body is no longer improvising, it has chosen its strategy. Once fat becomes the main fuel, your liver increases the production of ketones. These are energy molecules made from fat. They provide a clean and efficient source of fuel, especially for the brain. This is why many people feel calmer and more focused during deeper fasting. The brain is no longer riding sugar highs and crashes. It is being fed steadily. At the same time, insulin remains low and stable. This stability is critical. It prevents fat from being relocked. As long as insulin stays low, fat continues to flow. This is what people mean when they talk about fat-burning mode. Not hunger, not suffering, not forcing the body, but alignment. Now here is where the story becomes even more important. This state does not just happen because you skipped food long enough. It happens because your body trusts that fat is a reliable fuel. And trust comes from consistency. If you repeatedly interrupt fasting before insulin has time to fall, your body never learns this pattern. It remains cautious. It holds on to fat. It delays the switch. This is why short, inconsistent fasting often feels harder than longer, consistent fasting. Your body is adaptive. It learns from repetition. When it experiences periods where insulin stays low long enough, it becomes more comfortable switching fuels. Over time, the transition happens earlier and more smoothly. This is also why insulin resistance plays such a powerful role. When cells become resistant to insulin, insulin remains elevated longer. The signal to release fat is delayed. The timeline stretches. The body hesitates. But insulin resistance is not permanent. It is a response to repeated signals, and signals can change. Reducing frequent eating, allowing insulin to fall fully, improving sleep, lowering stress, these changes help restore insulin sensitivity, and as sensitivity improves, the fat-burning switch activates sooner. This is why fasting feels easier for some people over time. Their body remembers the pattern. It stops fighting the process. It adapts. Now let's connect this back to the frustration so many people feel. When someone says, "I'm fasting but not losing fat," what they are really experiencing is a delayed switch. Their body is still waiting for insulin to drop, and until that happens, fat remains protected. This does not mean they are failing. It means their body has not yet reached the metabolic permission. Once permission is granted, everything changes. Fat burning becomes stable instead of fragile. Hunger becomes manageable instead of overwhelming. Energy becomes reliable instead of unpredictable. This is the difference between forcing fasting and understanding fasting. And this understanding changes how you approach the process. Instead of obsessing over hours, you begin focusing on conditions. Instead of asking, "How long should I fast?" you start asking, "What keeps insulin elevated for me?" That shift alone can completely change results. Because fat loss is not about punishment, it is about removing resistance. When insulin resistance decreases, resistance to fat burning disappears with it. The body no longer needs to protect fat so aggressively. It feels safe releasing it. This is why extended fasting is often described as easier after the first day. The hardest part is not the fast itself. The hardest part is getting your body to switch fuels. Once the switch is complete, the process becomes smoother. And this is the hidden timeline most people never see. The struggle happens before fat burning begins, not during it. Understanding this timeline removes confusion, it removes self-blame, and it replaces guessing with clarity. Now you know why your body might not be burning fat even during fasting. And more importantly, you know what must happen internally for that to change. If this explanation helped you understand your body better, subscribe to the channel. Every video here is designed to reveal what happens inside your body in a clear, calm, and science-based way, so you can stop guessing and start making sense of your own experience. And before you go, leave a comment. Tell me where you feel stuck in your fasting journey. Your question might shape the next video.